Show me another country that give opportunities for all people like America.
Do you
does.
think we have the same opportunity as everybody else, as black people?
Yeah, 100%.
With a 200-year economic head start on us and no
What's
reparations?
stopping you now? Aren't you at this university?
Yeah.
You at the university just like all these white people.
We know you have this 200-year head start.
That doesn't matter, bro. You don't have nothing to do with. You don't have nothing to do with that.
Oh.
You don't have nothing to do with that.
I thought you said one at a time.
You don't have nothing to do with that.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope all's good wherever you are. In this video, we have Brandon Tatum. A lot of you probably follow his channel. This is from a Turning Point USA event. Got 3 clips to share with you guys. I'll give you my thoughts in between. Let's get into it.
Unless I read wrong, you have the Make America Great Again.
Yeah, I do.
I want you to tell me exactly the point in history where America was great.
You know, it's funny. Point to me a time in history where America wasn't great. Tell me where it starts.
The birth of America?
No, point in America where America wasn't great.
On murder and thievery and deception. What do you mean?
Now let me explain this to you real quick. This is for everybody to listen to. Everybody always have this perception that we shouldn't acknowledge America as being great. America started at a certain point and grew and came better over time. No country that you know of was 100% perfect at the foundation. No country.
You
no
didn't answer my
country in
question.
the world. No countries in Africa, no countries in Europe. You can name it. Everybody started at a certain point, and it became greater over time.
You didn't answer my question.
Ever since you've been alive, America has been the greatest it's ever been.
You think so?
100%, brother. You can name somewhere else that's better than America. And why don't you live there?
I'm not sure.
I know you're not sure because they don't exist. Show me somewhere else that's as diverse as America. Anywhere.
As diverse?
That's as diverse.
What does diversity mean if
opportunities
people are being
for
discriminated
all
against?
people? Show me another country that give opportunities for all people like America.
Do you
does.
think we have the same opportunity as everybody else, as black people?
Yeah, 100%.
With a 200-year economic head start on us and no
What's
reparations?
stopping you now? Aren't you at this university?
Yeah.
You at the university just like all these white people. How's that any different? Can't you?
I want you to go 2 blocks that way and tell me where they at.
You can read. You can go to class. You can make good grades. I'm hoping that you're making straight A's. How is America stopping you from doing that? And how is it stopping you from being prosperous enough to go down the street and make a difference in your own community? How is America stopping you from doing that?
Why is it my responsibility to make a difference in my community that was sabotaged from the start?
I don't think. Let's go back to the foundation.
Do you think the CIA planted drugs in our communities?
They didn't make you sell it.
Do you think they?
No. I agree.
Do you think they burned down
stories of how
black
the CIA,
businesses? Do you know what Black Hollywood is?
Let's go one at a time. I've heard stories that the CIA planted drugs in the inner city communities. Not every black community, but in some. They still don't make you go and sell drugs to your brother, do they? Why are you not selling drugs right now? Because it doesn't make sense for you to do that. You have an opportunity to go to a university, get an education, and make yourself better and make your family better in the next few generations. Nobody's stopping us from doing that. I'm sitting on campus right now, and all these people are listening to me.
You know what's stopping
What's stopping me?
Money.
Well, in America, what's stopping you from making money in America?
What the f is not stopping us from making money?
You
what
go
the
to the same university as
mean?
all these white people. How you got a different?
Exactly.
You said what? Excuse me?
We're in debt.
That's
our
your fault.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, right?
Okay,
we were never given boots to begin with.
Let's start with this. I actually went and graduated from a university. So I'm not a guy that didn't go to college. I had a full scholarship, so I didn't pay for school in my undergrad. Graduate school, I paid for out of my pocket. I did not get a loan. I mean, I did not have to get loan forgiveness or nothing like that. I had $11,000 worth of debt and I paid it. How is that different than anybody else out here?
Because everybody doesn't have the same opportunity.
I'm black though. How did I pay my loan off and you can't? Or
where you from?
Well, I'm from Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, Dunbar High School.
Fort Worth,
right
Texas.
In the hood and stop 6. Right in the hood and stop 6. How did I get to this point if America's against me?
Did everybody in your neighborhood get to that point?
Well, different choices. There's a lot of people in my neighborhood that made it out because they made better choices. I could have sold drugs. I didn't. Why? Because I wanted something better out of my life.
What do you say about the disproportionate wealth? Does that not matter?
It's about culture. How much money do you save?
I don't know. I'm in debt, bro.
You in debt. How much do you invest?
I don't know.
How did you get into debt? Who chose to come here?
Me.
Well, that's you laid it out. Now, when you come here, for every college student here, this should be an investment into your future.
Right.
Anybody that know anything about making money knows that you have to invest to get to the next step.
How are we supposed to know anything about making money?
You may be in debt to make an investment to get to the next step. So if you do this properly, this is a debt investment to make more money in the future. If you come here and clown around and take a major that won't put you anywhere, then you just got into debt for no doggone reason. It's a cultural thing. Black people in America don't have wealth like others because they choose not to generate wealth through investments and passing their money down.
Who's teaching us to do this?
We should teach each other to do it. Why does somebody got to teach? You want the white man to teach us? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, hell, teach us something.
Okay, no, you could teach something. You got a college, you can get a college education. When you have children, teach your children.
So basically help yourselves. We know you have this 200-year head start.
That doesn't matter, bro. You don't have nothing to do with. You don't have nothing to do with that.
Oh.
You don't have nothing to do with that.
I thought you said one at a time.
You don't have nothing to do with that.
I don't have nothing to do with what?
The 200 years that you're talking about.
Yes, I do. Have you ever heard of generational trauma, generational wealth? My people don't own anything.
Where you come
nothing.
From?
How can you build something when my people come from nothing? I come from South Memphis.
And I come from Stop 6.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. I went to university.
What does comparison mean?
It
what
means
does
that
comparison mean when the statistics say that we are behind?
We are not behind. Some people are behind. We're not behind. Why? Because we make positive decisions. He's not behind. He's not behind. She's not behind. Do I want to go point out
on a college
people?
Campus.
But does college guarantee us success?
You're on a college campus.
It depends on what you do with what you have presented to you.
Sorry to stop it here, guys. If you don't mind just smashing that thumbs up button for your boy. And at the same time, if this is not the first time you've watched one of these videos and you're not yet subscribed, hopefully this will be the video in which I can earn your subscription. Let's get back to the video.
You were born in wherever you were born at. Look at you now. What's the difference between you and other people that didn't choose?
Opportunity.
How did you get an opportunity that other people didn't? You were in debt, so you didn't have the money. You didn't have the money to pay for it.
My parents didn't have much, but they had enough to keep me out the hood trying to make some money any way I can. I know people who have no anything. They have to go out there. They have no other choice. They have a horrible education. Do you know what the education system is like here? It's horrible.
Okay, so let's explain it like this. I wanna make sure we talk it at the same level.
Right.
So in America, every single person has an opportunity to do something with what they have in their hand.
And we have nothing in our hands. That's the point.
Let me say this. I believe wholeheartedly that God gives you a hand of cards to play. Hear me out.
God gives you
Hear me out. God gives you a hand of cards to play. Not everybody's hand is the same. What you can have a full deck of great cards and you play them poorly, you won't make it in life. You can have a bad hand. You play them strategically and you play them right, you'll do good in life. You had a not so good hand growing up where you grew up at. You made positive decisions that led you here. That's the hand you've been dealt. Everybody don't have a freaking silver spoon in their mouth. America is the only place.
They proportionately
Who is they?
Everybody else, man.
Everybody else like who? Are you saying white people? Brother, you in the same situation as all these white people and you playing the victim.
Am I?
You at the same university?
Am I? What does the same university have to do with anything?
You go to the same classes?
I had a 4.3 GPA in high school. I did what I was supposed to
hit. I
did what I was supposed to do.
What's your GPA now?
3.6.
Brother, what's holding you back then?
That's the point. Everybody doesn't have a 3.6. Everybody is
you just get a 3.6 because you woke up one day? You studied, didn't you?
Right. No, I actually didn't.
You didn't study.
No.
So then you have a gift that you can go and make a 3-point something and don't even study.
Right.
Brother, I mean, I don't know. I think we're wasting our time talking to each other. The bottom line is that if you study, you work hard, you play the cards that you're dealt properly, you will be successful. This country makes more millionaires than anywhere in the world. You can talk, Oprah Winfrey came from nothing. Tyler Perry came from nothing. I mean, you go down a list. You go down a list, brother.
Why are you naming rich black people?
Because these are the people.
Why are you naming
what
rich
about me?
black people?
All right, me.
You talking about me and you. I'm talking about everybody in the surrounding, everybody outside of this bubble.
Listen, man, you're a product of your decision making. You're an example that you can come from nothing and come to the university.
A product of your decision making when the majority of
came
others
from
are a
nothing and you're
product
at the
of their
university.
environment.
What are we saying? You came from nothing, you're at the university. Well, how about you go and teach other young men like you that grew up where you grew up how to do what you did to get here, period. What's the problem in that? Well, come to the mic, please. Can you come to the mic?
He want me off the mic.
Come. No, it doesn't matter about recording. Can you come to the mic so we can hear your question, please?
Come on. Come on, we can
No,
double
it's
team the
so
mic.
we can get the audio in.
We can double team the mic. We can double team the mic.
Just
It's
ask the
okay.
question, and I'll try to answer your question. Hold on 1 second. What's your question?
How does everyone have an opportunity when systematically the U.S. has multiple inequities within?
What inequities? Can you explain one?
Inequities in education.
Wait a minute. Inequities in education. What does that mean? Do you consider yourself a minority?
I do.
Is the country against you?
Technically, in a way, it could be.
But it's not. You're here. You did what you're supposed to do to get here.
You.
That's what it's about. Individuality. If you do what you need to do, you'll be here.
You as in everybody on this campus.
Listen, some people grow up in a terrible environment. Can we agree? Some people in that terrible environment make positive decisions to get out of that environment. Some people it
What
takes
is
longer.
some,
It
like
takes
10%,
longer in life
like-
to do that.
like
And that's not a
5%?
black thing. It's a everybody thing. There's poor white people in this country too. Do you not forget that? Most people on food stamps are white. Most people incarcerated are white.
Most people in the country are white.
Most people get killed by police are white.
Most everybody in this country is white. What
So
does
what I'm
does that
saying-
what does
what
that
I'm saying
statistic
is
have to do with anything?
That if poverty was just relegated to black people, it would only be black
You
people that
talking
are
on a
poor.
script. I can't listen.
All right, come on.
This is professional victimhood 101 right here, especially when they start talking about reparations. Like, seriously, who would do the accounting on this? The people who would try to do the accounting are also the people who would always want to be the beneficiaries of something, not entirely coincidental. You can't work history that way. You can't go through history and think, oh, let's make a big list of all the people who had suffering in history and find a way to compensate them. That is ridiculous once you open that box. For instance, you might go through the list and, I don't know, you might find that maybe the Jews suffered a lot. What are we doing here? Are we going to find a way to pay back the Jews for their suffering? What about the freedoms that we have in America? What if somebody's forebears fought more for our freedoms than mine? Do they get more freedom? You would say that's ridiculous, but this is the same thing that we're talking about. And I'm not saying that there wasn't discrimination in the past on people's gender and sexual orientation, race. Not what I'm saying. But to say that you're suffering today in the wealthiest, freest nation in the world with the most opportunity because of something that happened to a forebearer, for instance, you're engaging in so many lies when you do that. To think that in some way white people of today should be compensating anyone else, when a lot of the people that are in America today had nothing to do with the slave trade, a lot of the minorities that are in America were never victims of slave trade, but like, they're acting as if the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th century were just hunky-dory across the world. Bad things happen to all of us. Not like white people throughout history were living in sunshine and rainbows, and you can't say that today the system is racist or systemically racist when we had a black president for 8 years, the highest position in the country. Today, you would no longer be dealing with a transfer of wealth from one group of people who did something wrong to another group of people who were wronged. It would have been that 200 years ago. If you would have figured out a way to do it 200 years ago, sure, maybe. But today, it's not even the descendants of the people who did something wrong giving money to people whose descendants were wrong. It would be a wealth transfer from people who look like people who did a wrong thing in the past to give another group of people who resemble people that were wronged in the past. You give people opportunity. That's all we can do. Even if you can make a case that for certain people in America, even if you could, and you can say the consequences of where they're at today have to do with slavery. It would be such a small part of a multidimensional issue. Underachievement in the black community in America is not based on slavery. Because how else would you explain the Asians who arrived as the poorest class in the country or now the richest class in the country? It is a very multidimensional issue, not to mention the fatherless home problem that they have, the crime issue. You cannot fix past discrimination by committing discriminations today. And also, how would you even prove that? If you're a black person and you say, I'm suffering today and I feel hard done by because of something that happened to my ancestor generations ago, how would you ever prove that? What the left does is they try to weaponize race, they try to weaponize gender for some sort of political game, and it can't be done. Instead of saying, hey, America is such a great country that allows people to have loans and welfare if you don't have any money. No, it's America is racist and I don't have money because of something that happened 200 years ago. This is not the way it should be played. Now, 200 years ago, if you would have told me, sure, are white people ahead of people who just got their freedom? Sure, 100%. But at that point, it's up to you to work hard, because the white person who was ahead of you, they're still going to work hard. So for a while in history, they were ahead. But today, if you look at America, 6 of the 10 poorest counties in America are white counties. If you are born in America today, white, black, Asian, Hispanic, you are born in the wealthiest, freest nation that there is. If you're born in most Western countries, you have opportunity. That is on you. You have the chance by making a series of good decisions to change your bum life and the bum life of generations. And that doesn't matter what your skin color, your gender, or your sexual orientation is. Let's get back to it.
Okay, Mel, MEL. You're Brandon. I'm sorry. I've just did some research on you. So I want to go back to Marcel Williams, I believe. You said that he was guilty and he should have been killed. Is that correct?
Yes. According to the law.
Yes, but are you aware about like how many stipulations there is against his case? Like how many, like how the own prosecutor said that they mishandled evidence, they altered DNA evidence, and they did make a biased jury. Are you aware
I don't
of that?
think that that's verifiably true. I think that's things that are rumored, but it went before a court. Clemency was presented to the governor, and it went to the Supreme Court of the United States of America. And in every single court, he lost his appeal. So to me, I'm more inclined to believe that the case against him was solid enough that he was ultimately executed. There's many people that were not executed in this country because they've taken their case to higher courts and have been overturned. I don't think Marcellus Williams is any different than anybody else. You would have to show me unequivocal evidence, as clear as the noonday sun, for me to believe that they wrongfully executed this man. And I want to argue this is not racist. It's not a racial thing. People want to make it a racist thing because the last person that was executed had the same argument that he had, and it was a white man that was convicted or accused of a double murder. He was executed in the same state. So I don't think it's a racial thing, and I think that he just simply lost.
Was the prosecutor for the white man arguing for the white man to get off trial? Was the defense of the prosecution of the white man, just like Marcel Williams, trying to get him off?
Yes, not the prosecution, but his defense argued that he was innocent, and he still got executed.
Thing is, though, in this case, the prosecution argued to other courts, and the defense, both sides who were involved in that trial, argued that he was innocent.
And they lost.
The former Missouri governor was actually in the process of getting him off. I'm really sorry, I forgot his name. It
doesn't matter his name, but they lost. They simply lost in the court of law.
Yes, but the governor himself was convinced that he was innocent and was actually starting the
The
process.
governor was not convinced. The governor was not convinced he was innocent. He had a chance.
No, I'm talking about not this one. I'm really sorry, I forgot his last name, and I thought it was kind of embarrassing because I'm on camera and I forgot. But
it's totally fine, dude.
The former governor, back in I think like 2018, 2019, I forgot when the scandal was, but he was basically trying to get this man off because he was also listening to the prosecution, listening to the defense, and knew that this man was innocent. Oh, sorry, I'm just in front of the mic. And then a huge...
So do you think it was about race?
Excuse me. No, I haven't mentioned that yet. I'm
okay.
To that. But the man wanted to get him off, but then he got basically into a huge scandal. I believe he either was looking at child pornography or rape. I forgot which one it was, and he ended up resigning. The guy who came in power after that was convinced that he wasn't in it.
Well, I wouldn't trust a man that was looking at child pornography and ended up getting removed from office. So I'm saying the actual governor that's in place today had an option to, evade, not evade, it's another word for it, his execution, but he did not. Okay, I think we can leave it at that. There's no unequivocal evidence that he should have not been executed. The man, do you know what he did?
Yes, he went to a reporter's home and stabbed her 46 times.
That is crazy.
That is what they say.
But isn't that crazy? He admitted to it. That's why he went to prison the first time. He admitted to stabbing a woman 43 times. You know how crazy that is?
With hung DNA evidence? With
it doesn't matter. He admitted to stabbing this woman. He was the suspect, convicted, and the family forgave him. Everybody knows that follows the case that he was a guilty party. They're not trying to prove that he's innocent. They just didn't want him to be executed. The family of the victim said that they wanted him to do life instead of execution. So we're not arguing whether he killed this woman by stabbing her 43 times or not. That's not the argument here. The argument is should he been executed versus spending the rest of his life in prison. And he lost his cases in the court, and here we go. He is no longer with us. Rightfully so, according to the law. Okay. Anything else?
Yes, I don't know. It's just I still find it confusing that you are saying that he's really guilty when, again,
I'm not saying that he's guilty.
Proven.
I'm
I'm
agreeing
sorry.
with the courts. I'm agreeing with the
sorry.
governor. I'm agreeing with the family of the victim.
Excuse me. I'm really sorry. I was just saying something and then you interrupted. I'm really sorry about that.
I mean, I got to get to the, you know, we got a lot of people
you're
out here.
good.
I gotta
I
to
get
the
it,
point.
and I get, like, no, like you and Charlie Kirk, they often debate, and they always interrupt.
But I
And
gotta
again,
get, I gotta get to the point, my
I know,
brother.
but I'm just saying that, like, everyone is saying that this man is innocent. They said that they falsified the DNA.
Can we
How are
can
you
we
so,
agree to
like-
disagree?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to take everyone's.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Thank you for the question. Thank you.
These people are so crazy. Marcellus Williams, when this happened in 1998, the guy is walking around a gated community looking for a house to rob in University City, Missouri. The man had already served several prior criminal convictions, including robbery and burglary. He shouldn't have been on the streets at all, but apparently there's a judge that let him out so that he can, again, commit more crimes and victimize more people, in this case, killing a lady. And killing a lady is exactly why he was in university. He knocked on the door of a homeowner, a 42-year-old journalist named Felicia Gale. Nobody answered. So this man breaks into her window, lets himself into her home, notices that someone is on the second floor, so he goes downstairs. Now he's thinking about this. He goes downstairs, he grabs a butcher knife, and he waits. And when Felicia Gale emerges from the shower, Marcellus Williams stabs her 43 times, including 7 separate fatal wounds. Once he was done killing her, he then stole her purse and her husband's laptop before leaving the house to pick up his girlfriend. Now, at the time, his girlfriend had noticed there was something wrong. There was this lady's blood on Marcellus Williams' shirt. His neck was scratched inexplicably, and there was a purse and a new laptop in his car that his girlfriend found. When she confronted Marcellus Williams about this, he admitted to his girlfriend that he murdered a woman, and then he threatened his girlfriend of killing her as well if she went to the police. Several months later, Marcellus Williams was incarcerated for an unrelated crime because this is a career criminal. This is not a nice person. This is the people that hold this person up are the same people that hold up George Floyd. The world is a better place without these people. This was a theme in this man's life. Now he goes back to prison because this is where he ends up all the time because he's continuously committing serious crimes and being let out. In this particular instance, when he's in jail, he promptly brags to his fellow inmates that he had murdered Felicia Gale and provided non-public information about the killing to these people. When one of his cellmates or one of the inmates got out of there, they went to the police. They told the police about what they heard and all this information. So the police then went back to investigate. They found Marcellus Williams' girlfriend. They confronted her, and she told them what she knew. His girlfriend also had intimate details that the murderer alone would know about. Let's not get it twisted. Marcellus Williams is extremely guilty of murder. He is guilty of randomly killing this woman, butchering her to death for no reason other than he wanted to steal her purse and a laptop for some money. He admitted to it. He's guilty of this without a shadow of a doubt, but you won't hear that. The truth was that nobody campaigning on this guy's behalf actually thinks he's innocent. If a woman is brutally murdered and you confess to the crime multiple times and details, and you can give the police details that no one would have known unless they were in the house and committed this murder, and unless you would have been there. You were also found with the victim's property in your car and her blood on your shirt, you are guilty. Period. This is not coincidental. There is no other possible scenario where that could have all have happened, and yet you would have still been innocent. None. You couldn't even come up with a fantasy scenario where a woman was murdered, and then you have a guy who's totally unconnected to the crime, right? Unconnected to the murder, who just happens to be seen with the bloody clothes the same day of this person, the purse in the car, the laptop in his car. The girlfriend confesses that he knew. The inmates confesses that he knew. He knows intimate details that only the murderer would know. You are guilty. And the world is a better place without Marcellus Williams in it, and he deserved what he got. Let's get back to the saving grace of this video, a young lady who is going to be going places.
Cool.
My question is, so you know how in Thomas Sowell he wrote this book called Discriminations and Disparities,
Yeah, I actually read
and he talks about personal motivations and how some people have grown up raised in whatever victimhood they have experienced, whether that's been single motherhood or fatherlessness, homelessness, whatever, and they're grown basically up in that environment, and then they don't have the personal motivations, or they don't think or see themselves as being lawyers or doctors or president or anything like that. They just see NBA players, rappers, things like that. And we see that the left has put so much money and time and effort into reparations and critical race theory and stuff like that. How are they able to manipulate the situation when the outcomes are very much outweighing and having negative consequences? How are they so able to freely manipulate that situation?
Yeah, that's a good question. What they're doing is they're weaponizing our struggle to sell us a lie. Instead of saying, we know that America have unduly put black people through a certain struggle, let us empower you to empower yourself, not sit here and let us hand you something. And that's what they've been doing over the last several years. They don't fix the schools. They just let you in a university with affirmative action. It's like, no, fix the schools so the kids are qualified and they're competitive. You don't go to the end of the line to try to fix something. You go to the root of it. Young black people, like when I was growing up, I never thought about being a doctor. I didn't know a doctor. I knew a whole bunch of dudes playing college football. I knew a whole bunch of dudes rapping. I wanted to be like, Tupac was my favorite rapper. Me and my cousins, when we were young, we used to try to battle rap each other to beat Bone Thugs. Well, y'all probably too young to know Bone Thugs and Harmony and all them. But we used to battle rap to beat Bone Thugs and Harmony. We just didn't have the vision. And it's unfortunate that that just gets perpetuated and celebrated time and time again. I understand why it happens, because it's easier to be successful playing sports than it is in academics to a certain degree, right? Yeah. You come from a crappy school. I went to Dunbar High School, which I love my school, but it's in the hood, man, and we didn't have resources like that. Yeah. Some people did very well academically. I didn't. I went to university and got a degree for free by playing sports. But what we have to understand and what needs to be preached is that there's life outside of just this glam of athletics and entertainment. We need to start finding other people to look up to than just LeBron. Like the young lady, and then I don't think she was black enough, but she didn't know who Ben Carson was. But if I asked her who Beyonce was, she'll tell me. And Ben Carson is far greater of an impact in American history than Beyonce could ever have. She makes music. Ben Carson is one of the most brilliant men to ever live out of any race of anybody. So I think that they've been playing us with the emotionalism and weaponizing our pain. Because black people, I remember when I was in college and I took Africana Studies, my first class we learned about lynching. I was so mad I was so mad at white people when I saw that I used to walk through campus and I would walk straight and I'd be like, let a white person bump into me. I had this anger and hatred that I had when I saw how they did these black people. So the question from that point is that, do you go with hatred, or do you understand what has happened and you want to be better? And you understand that me and you and none of these people have nothing to do with slavery. We have nothing to do with it. That stuff was a long time ago. To me, slavery doesn't affect us today. Only in understanding how it happened and not repeating it, but it don't affect us today. There's nothing stopping me from being on a university full of white people. How am I any different than a white person? Let me tell you this. I want to say this. When people say that black people had a disadvantage in America, and they explore this idea or they exacerbate this idea of white privilege, they're essentially saying black people aren't better or aren't the same as white people. They're saying that black people are less than white people. Because right now, every black person on this campus should understand that there's nothing that a white person can do that you can't do. And if you don't feel that way, you've been tricked. I went to a university in New Jersey. Look at this woman still talking. Can you be respectful? Why don't you come to the mic? You're disrespecting another sister. All you're doing is disrespecting everybody that's coming to the mic. Let me move on. Because you're drawing attention to you. You're in my ear. You're in my ear.
And look, I'm getting the attention I want, right?
Really? This is the attention you want?
Not really, but that's the thing. So
I don't think nothing. I just want you to stop or come to the mic. It's just simple, man. See, this is the difference. You can't have a mentality like this. This is how people fail in life to a certain degree. You gotta have decorum, even if you disagree with somebody. You gotta have a level of decorum. But anyway, let me move on to the next question. You have a next question?
That's basically it. But
Okay.
yeah, with especially, I think that people take it because every single ethnicity in America has had a history of coming into the United States. You know, like
Yeah.
the Italians came and they were discriminated against. Irish people came, they were discriminated against. I think that black people's integration into society was more recent in years as far as segregation goes. I know we were slaves and stuff like that, but when they were supposed to be accepted as people, it was entirely different as opposed to that. But it's just crazy.
No, I think I agree. You made a really good point, and I think that everybody should understand this. She had made mention that the integration of black people is much different, right? If you look at the Hispanic people that have come into this country, the integration is different. They come through immigration or they illegally come into the country, whichever way they do it. They didn't have to go through slavery, Jim Crow, and all the other stuff. So that's a valiant point, that black people did have a challenging position to be integrated into America. It's much difficult. But I think through the adversity and difficulty, black people have become much better than they would have if it was no adversity. And if you take advantage of it, you will be great. There's nobody has done anything great without adversity. Nobody. Nobody. And I feel like black people that are successful have taken adversity and they've maximized. They've taken that idea of saying, well, you can't come into this restaurant, to saying, you know what, I'm gonna open my own restaurant and I'm gonna change this thing. My dad, that's why having a father is important. My dad, I remember he was on a fire department. He started when he was 19. My dad is almost, let's see what my dad, almost 60. Started when he was 19. He said there was discrimination on the fire department when he first started. Like some white guys and then black guys, they didn't really get along. What did my dad do? Did he tuck his tail between his legs? Did he go cry and want to get Al Sharpton to get involved? My dad said, you know what? They better watch how they treat me because one day they'll be working for me. My dad became the chief, Fort Worth, Texas. He was a battalion chief in Fort Worth, Texas, retired. Chief of Waco, retired. Chief of Keller, Texas. And he's gonna retire from there. You don't need to allow adversity to make you crumble like a coward. You take adversity and you maximize and you become great because of it. I came from Fort Worth, Texas, Dunbar High School, and Stop 6 in the hood. I didn't let that dictate who I would become. I said, you know what, I see people selling drugs. I'm gonna give you an example. We used to have this car wash, and you get your car washed for like $5. Them crackheads, I don't know how they end up putting coins in there or whatever. They'll wash your car $5. One day I went to the car wash, get my car wash, and I saw a brother smoking crack behind that car wash. And it hurt me. I said, why am I giving money to see my brother smoke crack on the back of this thing just to get my car washed? That changed how I saw my own community. And I said, I want to make a difference. I'm gonna become a police officer because I want to make a difference in policing. I want to go to university and get an education because most people in my family have never been to a university. I took adversity and I said, let me take this adversity and use it as fuel to make me become the greatest man that I can be. And if everybody does that and are consistent, they will maximize what God has for them. Not everybody gonna be rich. Not everybody gonna be Elon Musk. That's not your goal. Your goal is to play the cards that God has put in your hand. And that goal may be being a good mom. That goal may be being a straight A student, graduating cum laude, summa cum laude. That may be just being a good person to other people and changing people's lives. Like, we have to understand that. It's not a failure if you're not rich and you don't get to this pinnacle of what people lie to you about as the American dream. It's about maximizing who you are and getting to the peak of what you can become.
I love this clip. I love this last clip. That's my favorite one. This young lady who came to the mic, I think is impressive, got a good head on her shoulders. She's going to go places. I love that dialogue. That was just a nice conversation. She's open-minded, sensible, young college kid. There is hope out there. Hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash that thumbs up video. Consider subscribing to the channel. Help it grow. I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out, everybody.